West Coast Joe Leonardo. I'm Joe Leonardo.
And I'm Alex.
And we're here today to take a look at a kind of a overlooked Image Comics gym. And, this guy, it was a cool book, but it doesn't really get a lot of love, and we're here to take a look at the first issue of Stormwatch from Homage Studios.
So did you get this when it first came out?
I did. Yeah, I did. I'm a sucker for team books, and I always, take a look at those almost no matter what, like exclusively. Like if you look at mine here, you'll see it's actually signed.
Oh, is that Portacio?
No, this is Scott Clark. Scott Clark and Trevor Scott. I think Scott
I
Clark.
Yeah,
Scott Clark on the pencils and Trevor Scott inking, doing his best.
Right. And it's signed by Scott Clark.
Yes, and Trevor Scott. I got both their signatures on here in gold or whatever.
Yeah. So a few things before we really get started. I was looking up Scott Clark, and have you looked him up? Did he die? He died in 2013.
Is that right? No, I didn't realize that.
I think so. I mean, that's what I was looking up, and I think that's, unless sometimes Wikipedia they do weird stuff and say stuff that isn't true. I had a thing like that happen with Joseph Lindsder when I was going over his stuff, and somebody in my comment section said that he was dead, and then I went to his Instagram page, and I was talking to whoever runs the Instagram page, and he was saying, "Nope, I'm alive." So I don't know if he's really alive or not.
I don't know, but I mean, gosh, death seems to come for comic book artists a lot. You know what I mean? It seems like a lot of these great guys will have like really short career or whatever, and then just like something will happen, like Michael Turner or who's the other one I was thinking of? Oh man, that guy who did the Cybernary, freaking like so good, and just these guys just had a few years to get their work in or whatever, and then cancer ate them up, and it's just always tragic.
It sucks. But another thing that I was noticing is this is a Malibu comic, so
well, that's because Malibu did. Well, it's an Image comic, but Malibu released it because Malibu released all of their early books.
It's Image, but it's Malibu. But here's the thing: Stormwatch was a Mad Cow.
No, it's a Homage.
Homage, right? Or is it what is Wildstorm also Homage?
Yeah, literally Wildstorm is what Homage becomes.
Right,
like
right.
So starts off at Homage, and then I'm not sure what promotes it becoming Wildstorm, but then like Wildstorm is just what Homage turns into, I'm pretty sure.
Right. But here's the thing: Homage, Wildstorm / or whatever they are, they get bought by DC.
Yeah.
So, but if this is produced by Malibu, which was bought by Marvel, who owns it?
And that's like
Marvel or DC.
That's one of those weird things too, because it's like this thing is like it's been in so many. It's almost like the Charlton characters, you know what I mean? Like all of the Homage Studios stuff is like that, because it's literally been in the Malibu universe, it's in the Image universe, and it's also in the DC universe. You know what I mean?
Right.
So these things are like canon in like 3 different, universal categories.
Right. I was talking to an artist that worked for Eternity, which was one of the companies under the Malibu umbrella, and he was saying that when Marvel bought Malibu and all of the Eternity and Adventure and Aircell was all that part of that big thing, that most of it was actually creator owned and creator controlled and stuff. So I think a lot of the stuff that Malibu owned that Marvel bought, Marvel can't use.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Also, one last thing that I want to talk about before we get into it is it says Brandon Choi and Jim Lee, co-creators / story. So who do you think actually wrote the book?
Well, you know what it is? I want to say probably Stormwatch is probably, because I know like Wildcats started off as a story that Brandon Choi and Jim Lee did in like school together called Wild Boys. And it was just like their stuff they made up when they were kids, and I think Stormwatch is part of that. So
Right.
probably more like it was taking place is that Brandon Choi and Jim Lee created the idea, and Brandon Choi's probably writing.
You think Brandon Choi is the
Brandon Choi's
scripter?
probably, yeah, I want to say he's probably like writing, you know what I mean? Like all the
Doing the scripting and
dialogue,
dialogue and
yeah,
stuff
and all
like
that
that.
stuff. And then him and Jim are probably creating the story together, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. All right, so
Which is why we have this really great Jim Lee cover, you know what I mean? That thing's so
yeah, yeah,
badass,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like
I love the Jim Lee cover. Of all of the Image guys, I don't know. It's hard to say who I like more, McFarlane or Jim Lee. But I like I said before, Jim Lee is so obviously super talented. It's like you can never say he's not a talented dude.
yeah,
But then there's just the weird little creative ticks or whatever you style or whatever that McFarlane has that just it gets me the right way, I guess.
well, I was gonna say all the original dudes, except for like maybe what's his name, the Shadow guy, Valentino or
Oh
whatever. Like
yeah,
most of them had
yeah,
pretty heavy illustrator styles, you know what I mean? And they were
yeah.
all pretty good, like maybe like I want to say my personal view, I want to say what's a Savage Dragon was probably like the least, one of the,
Eric
that
Larson.
one and like Shadowhawk were kind of like more on the cartoony side or whatever, but everybody else
Yeah,
was doing
yeah,
strong illustrator stuff. And that was kind of like Image's big draw or was that
yeah,
everybody's
yeah,
doing the but everybody's got these different styles and slightly different ticks that add different elements to their work, and, like the work on Stormwatch falls off like pretty quick, I want to
oh,
say,
does
like,
it?
but Trevor Scott, like he's in there, I want to say for at least the first like 5 or 10 issues or something like that. But you could tell he probably had a while to get this first one done because this first book has no art drop off on it. You know what I mean? There's no art
Yeah,
lag anywhere. It's really beautiful all the way through for the most part. I mean, he does better on some things than other things. Like his double pagers are not that good,
yeah,
and he's a little
yeah,
bit better at, like a 1 page splash like this thing right here than say
yeah,
like this thing right here, which is a little clumsy as a double pager, but still cool, still very cool
yeah,
though, you know what I mean? But as he gets closer to the bigger figures, his stuff kind of falls apart a little bit, like this is not very great right here. You know what I mean? Like probably it was
yeah,
a time when I would have looked at that and thought that was amazing, but you could just see there's some little flaws happening there. And it's probably happening because he's having to draw so big or something like that.
yeah,
It's hard to
yeah.
say.
Could be,
Everybody's got
could
their
be.
strengths and weaknesses, but that
Yeah,
like this right here is probably maybe one of the weaker pages in the whole thing. And it's still pretty cool, for what's happening here.
yeah, yeah. So do we want to go over the story or just kind of look at the art and stuff?
Yeah, I actually thought the story was pretty cool. Like, we have this guy opening right here, and this is Battalion, and we're opening up
Yeah,
on Stormwatch, and Stormwatch is kind of a United Nations superhero team, and this thing like really like feels like they were purposely sort of like channeling the idea of like Lean Wayne's X-Men or whatever, like Giant Size X-Men 1 or whatever, where it's like an
yeah, yeah.
international team and everybody's from a different part of the world, and we got that kind of thing going on. And here's an all-American like stars and stripes guy right here. He's our hero, and he was like the super telekinetic, and I thought it was cool that he was a black dude, you know what I mean? Like right off the back I
Well,
thought that was cool and interesting.
well,
Liefeld.
here's
Go
the
ahead.
thing about that though. Like I did not realize that he was black. It took like he's got brown hair in the beginning and he doesn't like I know that like now after reading into it that it's probably the lighting from all the fire blasts and stuff, but I did not realize that he was actually black. I kind of had to and it's some of the coloring in some of this. I know that this is the early days of digital coloring and stuff, but yeah, I really did not realize that he was black until I kind of flip forward and then kind of flip back.
I have to honestly say that I got it. I preened in that he was
Yeah,
black pretty fast. You know what I mean? Like it didn't really. I didn't. Like right here. I
yeah,
mean, I want to say it's pretty solid. I mean, I struggle with that kind of thing as well. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
yeah,
really great at doing very characteristic faces. I mean, I can get into like more cartoony realms with older people, like if you have very like exaggerated features, like a butler, a Jim Gordon type or something like that,
Right.
then you can
Right.
really kind of like, or like say like Timmy's grandpa in the pit or something like that. You can kind of get in and cartoon it a little
Yeah.
bit. But
Yeah.
I'm not really great at like creating very realistic ethnic things, and that's like
Yeah.
ethnic appearance on the face or whatever. That's something I definitely need to get better at, because my
Yeah.
characters all basically just have like a very generic sort of supermodel face. You know what I mean? Like I just got this sort
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
generic male model
Yeah.
face and then generic female model face, and that's kind of what
Yeah.
everybody gets
Yeah.
planted with, and
Yeah.
I
That's
separate who they are with hairstyles, and hair colors and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. I totally understand. I think so many comic book artists, especially me, just don't have a lot of different ethnicities, backgrounds or characters or whatever. And I don't think it's because like we're not racist. We're just don't know how to draw, black people as well as or Asian people or as well as just regular white people because that's what we see every day in the mirror.
Yeah, and even then, it's hard to portray it or to know how to portray it, or where, like,
Yeah,
what to
yeah,
push and what not to push, and that kind of thing. 'Cause, I mean, even like
yeah,
Asian, like the manga, the look of the manga art, it's not exactly. You look at the people in those art and go, oh well, these are clearly Asian people or whatever. Like,
yeah, yeah,
and they're
yeah,
representative of all different sorts of races, whatever, and cultures. And they kind of do the same thing. They just add hairstyles to kind of differentiate from what you're looking at, depending on the artist. I mean, some artists get deeper into it, than other artists, but it's all in your capability, and like those
yeah,
things take time. Who does that
yeah,
really well is like Olivier Coipel. He's like one of the artists I know that do like beautiful, like very realistic, cultural faces, and they're all
yeah,
gorgeous, whether they're
yeah,
black or Asian or whatever. He just does
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
But
I think
back online,
I,
like I mean, here's another shot. I thought this looks pretty ethnic right here. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
I felt like like I kind of got right off the back. We got like a Japanese dude. We got a Russian guy
yeah,
over here. We have a South American lady here from somewhere, and then we got our American boy, and then over here I think this guy's like either a Aussie or an English dude, like one of those. And anyways,
yeah,
they've been called into this middle of nowhere sort of Sarajevo place, and they're trying to save like a United Nations envoy guy and a group of kids that are being like somehow transported through this sort of middle of a civil war kind of thing, and just get some like really cool shots. And you can just see, I mean, he's drawn his ass off in these things. Like these are really cool shots, very detailed little characters down here. Spending a lot of time on the detail. Look at all the like little sponging on that tree or whatever.
yeah,
Uh, this great looking bus. I would have personally lifted those wheels off the ground myself, but still very
yeah, yeah,
cool. Or this face right here, and it looks like it's got a little zipatone on one side of it, which is kind of unusual because the image guys don't usually do that kind of thing very often.
yeah, yeah.
Or like this
Well, I
face
think
right
that's
here.
the colorist,
Yeah, I'm
Wendy
not sure. Yeah, if that was a zipper
Post
because it's
or
got a little bit over the eye or whatever right here.
Joe Chiodo.
But
Yeah,
dude, I
yeah,
was looking at this face, and I swear this face is out of like Wildcats, like All Star or whatever, that Travis Charest freaking one shot he did before he took over the thing. They have this like it's like Wildcats like All Star #1 or something like that. It's a
yeah,
Wildcats
yeah,
tribute or something, and I swear that's like cribbed right out of there. It looks
yeah, yeah,
different than the rest of this stuff too, and it just looks totally different than a lot of the other faces. But I thought this was dope when I looked at it last night. I really liked this panel right here. Like I really thought her face and the hair, like you can just tell he's
oh yeah,
probably had a lot of time to draw this stuff. You know what I mean? Because it just like if you look at #2 and #3, the art is already starting to fall off to where more and more of it is starting to look like, say, like this right here, where it's just exaggerated and the features are falling off just a little bit. Like
yeah. I think part of the problem why uh, he didn't do as great a job on this big splash panel or splash page, the first or the second and third, the double page spread. These soldiers are they're pretty nondescript. Like they're not Russian, and they're not like they don't actually give them a name or
no,
any
you're
kind of
totally right. They barely have any
designation.
gear. They just look like they're out there with
Yeah,
like green shirts on and helmets. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, yeah. So I think the less actual authenticity that he has, to work with. I think that definitely like hinders him. And so he's kind of like flying by the seat of his pants, just trying to figure
Yeah.
out an army soldier,
Right, just a generic
what he's
look,
doing.
because that's
Yeah,
hard to do. Because you're just drawing some sort of like Cobra drone soldiers, dudes, or whatever.
yeah,
You know, what I
yeah,
mean, like stormtroopers that are just there to get blown up or whatever. But on point right here with this little, and I love the like. I always associate that with Waltz Portatio. You know, when you do the broken up panel borders or whatever, with the scratchy sides. You know,
yeah, yeah,
I feel like that's a total Waltz Portatio thing. But just really great, and that's cool. We got the bad guys over here, looking all lined up and dope, and then the good guys back on this side, just like with the whole page, just set up for them, just looking cool as hell. Very cool
yeah,
looking
yeah.
page right here. I mean, I really like this myself. Just like
Yeah, yeah. There's and he uses a lot of the tropes that the image guys use. I think this is kind of a trope that almost all of them use
I
in
totally use. Man,
several
dude,
books.
I throw
Yeah.
the I'm close up on everything. You know what I mean? Like I always put
Well,
that one down,
there's
dude.
nothing wrong with it. It's a way of conveying some energy and some
Yeah,
emotion.
emotional
Um,
intensity or
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, we just got these guys now. These two dudes are the two leaders, and they're squaring off. And we got these. I think she used to be. She's like a total generic rogue, is what it feels like.
yeah, yeah,
She's talking
yeah.
in
That's
this
what
like
I thought.
southern, sort of accent thing. And so we got these two guys facing off, and then our two big dudes like coming down on each other. So it's a classic, like Image Comics like superhero battle where you have like these juxtaposition characters, like everybody's designed to have an opposite character, like it's all like Ant-Man and
Right.
Yellow Jacket or whatever, that kind of thing, or like
Yeah,
Green Lantern, Sinestro or whatever, where every character's got to have a sort of anti version of their character to battle against here, but
yeah.
just basic like superhero stuff. And the arts, he's a little bit better with the male characters than the females. They tend to look a little stiff, like that's a little whack right there or whatever,
I have
like
that problem too. I think so many artists have stiff women, and that's basically why I started creating Cyrene, because I knew that was something that I really needed to try to conquer, was drawing women better. So I was like, hey, why not just have a main character as that? But yeah, the stiffness of the female characters, like especially this page here, like she is super. Like that's just a pose that I don't even think is like a really good one. I like this one. I like this pose.
they're both pretty
But
good. I
yeah,
mean, honestly, I think that's pretty dope, dude. I like that a lot. Like, I like
you do.
her as a character. I mean, she just looks pretty badass to me, and I
Right.
generally I like that pose a lot. I mean, they're both good. This is a great panel. I mean, this is the strongest panel on this page for sure. Like, this is a little stiff. You know,
Yeah.
this is a little wonky right
It's the
here,
stiffness that gets me often.
but that's part of the that's part of like just the artist thing, you know what I mean? Like it's just hard
Yeah.
to stay on point. Everything, like every time you're drawing a new thing on a page is just another chance to wreck it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
you know what I
Definitely.
mean? You're just killing it, and then all of a sudden you get to the last two panels and you blow it, and it's like, oh, the page looks great except for these panels right here. There's not much you can do
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember this?
But
How pumped was
this
everybody
next
for?
page,
I'm saying, how pumped was
that
everybody for this when it came out, dude? Like Cyberforce and Pit, like what? I was so pumped for that.
right, right. But I want to go back to this page a little bit because see, I have you're more of an image guy, and I think, and
Oh yeah,
so I might be pointing out flaws or things that I don't really think are as great. But that's just going to be our differences of opinions and stuff. But like this whole sequence here, I really wish that this page had been done a little bit differently, where it actually shows him firing his gun and then shows some sort of backlash. Like it happens again later on, where you don't really see the 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 action that's
the
actually
moment of
happening.
action. You're just seeing like
Right,
because like right here is the before they're fighting each
right,
other,
right.
and then it's
Yeah.
just off screen and he's beat him or whatever, and he's just like, oh yeah, I'm a badass or whatever. Like
Right, right. I
yeah,
really wish that there had been like some more follow through where he actually gets hit by the blast and you actually
well
see
that's
it.
storytelling was never the image guy's strongest point or whatever. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I
that's
mean?
true. That's true.
But here we have like, these guys have like narrowed down on the dude and they're trying to get this guy and they end up killing him here or whatever. Like, and he's the envoy and he's out. They get him. And then we realize that this is all just a dream that dude is having here. Battalion, I think his name is. And,
Battalion.
Another cool shot. Now you're clearly, he's getting much more better at the ethnic thing. You know what I mean? This guy's looking like like a black dude to me. And his mom comes in and, dude, I mean, this one right here, like what? Come on, man. That's really nice. You know what I mean? He must have worked on that that's a 2-day drawing. You know what I mean? Like no one gets that out in the afternoon, like that hair. That's that Brian Boland hair. It takes such a long time to do, man. Like,
it's wispy.
I can never do that much on the hair. That's really gorgeous. And he's going to fall off too. Like that might be the only time we see it in all this. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, another gorgeous job on the hair down here. You can just tell he's got time. He's knocking, he's doing his very, very best he could come up with, I mean, that's another good one right here. I like this a lot. That's pretty cool, like. It's hard to make this stuff interesting, talking heads, whatever,
I have a question for you. Your opinion. Who do you think should be responsible for the line weight in the drawing? Should it be the inker or should it be the penciler?
Well, it used to always be the inker back in the day. And I mean, back in the day, the penciler wouldn't even put in a lot of this stuff. Like the inker would kind of denote it. But at this point in time, we're at the time of like tracing exactly almost. It's not so much like the 70s and 60s where it's interpretative inking. I mean, these guys are trying to pencil down their lines as dang close as they can get it to where, there's not a lot of interpretative value happening. You just have to lay down. But, certain things like the line weight, you always got to count on your inker to be doing that kind of stuff right. Lines are heavier as they go into black. They get thinner as they go away. You know what I mean? You got to be paying attention to that kind of stuff. If you're going to do this, especially if you're doing this like pseudo Scott Williams kind of thing here, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because everybody was sort of tapping into the Scott Williams inking thing here or whatever.
Yeah.
But, this ends up being a pretty cool story. I thought it was cool. I thought the ethnic characters were pretty well illustrated. And like I've said, that's a difficult thing to do. The whole back end of this is just talking head stuff for the most part, where we're getting introduced to the idea of like Stormwatch and how they've got this satellite in the sky that's watching every sector of the earth, every moment of every second. And, these guys are coming to the, realization that, they can't save everybody. And he's got some invested, in saving this kid that they were there to, which they keep referring to it as the seedling or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to, you like, don't know what the seedling is through this whole thing. And we're all just like, wondering what the heck this guy's talking about, the seedling. And he loses his buddy. And this is the guy that helped him get into Stormwatch and helped him become a superpowered superhero. Cause he's like a Jean Grey or something like that, where he's just like a very powerful psionic guy or whatever, but he wears suits that accentuate all that stuff. And then here we are, when the bad guys come one more time, because they still haven't succeeded in grabbing the seedling or whatever, and they're launching a full-blown assault on the superheroes at this guy's funeral. And then at the very end, we come to find out after a bunch of ads and stuff here, that the seedling is actually dude's little brother, that's the mystery.
Which you knew that thing. You knew that was gonna happen. You knew that.
Yeah, you kind of could foresee that stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, wasn't
it's pretty surprise. Generic superhero stuff or whatever. It's a little boring in the middle because they're so into like trying to portray it as a realistic thing that they kind of bog it down a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish it took itself a little bit less serious, but a lot of these 90 comics had that problem, you know what I mean, with they're always trying to write it like it's a Michael Bay movie or like it's a
right. So here's my questions, because I was kind of confused. Like you were saying that they went to somebody's funeral that what's his name again? Not
Battalion.
Battalion. That Battalion knew. I thought it was the this guy that got killed.
Yeah, it is. That guy was his friend. Like they're friends. That's why
That
Battalion
was
is
his
like
friend.
wants to save him or whatever, because he says like here in the beginning that like oh, he got me into the special forces, and he also made me part of Stormwatch. He's like, I owe this guy everything or whatever. And
Him?
so yeah, the envoy guy that gets killed, it's this dude, right? Oh, where's he at? This guy right here.
No, okay, it was him.
Yeah.
And so, see, I thought he was like a teacher or something from the school bus.
No, he's an envoy for the United Nations who's like,
Okay.
he's ferrying these kids in this bus or whatever, you know what I mean? But we're not, like they don't explain why the kids in the bus are so important. They're just like, oh, we got to save these kids in the bus or whatever. But yeah, later on you find out that they probably all got superpowers or something. It's probably like some sort of weapons X thing happening there or whatever, and they're, and his little brother ends up being part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not bad comic. It's pretty good.
No,
I think the art
it's good.
is pretty dope.
Yeah, I like the art and a lot of it. I was confused about a few things. But going back to the line weight, like I think that is a big Image specific thing where they have a lot of different variety in the line weight of the inking, and I just wish we got to see some original pencils of this stuff to see, are the different line weights in the pencils.
That's for sure true. Especially this guy's inking is like, it's hard to know if that's like in the pencil or like in the ink, because it's like his hatching is really, it's not great. You could just tell he's like, he doesn't know exactly like what the hatches are for, like, you know what I mean? Because it was like, especially when you're first drawing this stuff, you just know it looks cool. You're not 100% like understanding that the hatching is actually light going from dark to light or whatever, and you're trying to interpret that. At first you're just like, oh, it looks so cool, so who knows, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, again, I think that Jim Lee probably has a hand in some of the artwork, and maybe not has a hand in it, but I think maybe editorially I think he kind of does.
I think it's highly possible that he may have even laid a lot of it out. You know what I mean? Like, who knows if Jim Lee didn't actually lay that entire thing out for him for the most part. You know what I mean? Because I know he laid out like Gen 13 one and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
he did?
So, yeah. So it's very highly probable that Jim Lee may have actually done the full layouts. But I mean, it does say pencils by Trevor Scott. So who knows? I'd have to look at some other stuff. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I know that he lays out like some of those early books, but I don't know if it actually credits him for doing layouts or not. I'd have to look at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's a good book. I like the figures for sure.
Well, we're coming up on 28 minutes, man. Let's look at some Whilst now. So, Whilst Portatio was the winner of our poll for Rob Liefeld and Whilst Portatio. And then our next show, we're going to put up 2 more artists again and go over their works, just like we did last time. But right now, let's take a little look at some Whilst Portatio, because he's a stunning art. I'm a huge fan, and he just deserves to be praised. Oh, dude, I love that shot. I know that exact shot you're looking at right there. That is so cool. All the characters are so cool, man. I think that's Dozer or something like that in there, and he falls into that soup or whatever. That it's like he starts getting so big he can't lift himself, so they have to build that whole suit so he can carry himself around.
Right. Yeah, see, I wish I knew, because it says pencils, Rainey, Portatio, and Miller. I wish I knew exactly what pages.
Well, I can tell you which ones are which just by looking at them. Usually, that's definitely probably a Whilst right there.
Yeah, cool. I'm sure they have the inkers. How many? Yeah, because the inks are different people too. Panacea and J.D. Williams and Miller. So maybe they're just working all in tandem. Like one will do one panel and then another will do another. Or one of them goes over everything. Because I mean, there's it's all pretty uniform.
You know what I think? It's like for each penciler has an inker. You know what I mean? Each one of
that could be too.
That's what it is. It's like one guy, penciled 3 pages. That dude, inker, penciled 3 pages, and each one of them has an ink. Like that's a Wiles right there for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. I definitely
But I
think you're
mean,
right.
dude, like look at that, dude. Like this is so awesome. Like I love those like gun belts like he does and stuff, and just
Oh
all
yeah,
the
yeah,
little Wiles Portatio technology, and so good at the big characters. Like that's a Wiles page for sure, right there, Chiron. You can always tell anytime it's got those really broken up panel borders like that or whatever, like that's
yeah,
not
yeah.
Wiles, I don't think.
You don't think that is?
No, no, no. That is, but when you turn the page, I don't think it is.
You think this is, but this isn't?
Um, the left
This?
side is. The left side is, but
Yeah.
I don't think the right side is. Let me see it again.
The
No, the right side.
right side.
Yeah, let me see that. No, maybe it could be. It's just that. No, that's a Wiles page. It is. No, it
Yeah.
definitely is.
Yeah.
It's that head at the top left that's kind of throwing me off a little bit, but no, it
Yeah.
definitely is. Like, I wonder how many pages he did in that. No, see, I don't think
I,
that is.
I don't know. This is issue 11, by the way.
Yeah, all the Image guys, that was one of the problems is they all fell off. You know what I mean? Like none of them, except for like, uh, Savage Dragon or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like stayed on their
Yeah.
books for very long. Even Todd McFarlane bounced out of Spawn pretty fast. And Craig Capullo took over.
Yeah. Well, I think
Of
they
course, I
wanted to be
honestly go ahead.
I think they wanted to be creators more than like they wanted to create Wildcats and hand it off to somebody and have them tell their story, their Wildcat story or their Spawn story, whatever, and then hand it off to somebody else so that it could like grow the universe. I think they were really thinking about growing the universe.
I think that's probably true. I mean, like most of them were going to retire right about the time they went to Image. You know what I mean? Like Todd McFarlane had retired, like it announced his
Yeah.
retirement or whatever, and then started Image. And Silvestri was the same way. I'm pretty sure he was like on the verge of retiring. Like he was just like on the cusp of leaving, when Image happened,
Right.
and he was like, "Oh, okay, like I'll stick around." So you're probably right. It's probably definitely that sense of them wanting to all be Stan Lee and just make the stories up and have someone else do all the brutal drawing or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look at this shot right here, you know what I mean, of like this like vampire sort of like princess in her like bath chamber or whatever, and she's got like
Yeah.
all these, this is like watching this stuff on a giant readout, and she's got all these like maidens like tending to her or whatever in the tub, freaking taking care of her every need or whatever. It's just like gorgeous work, dude. That's the kind of stuff that I just love Wiles for. He just like
Yeah.
so good at like making
What
everything
issue is
look
that?
wonderful. This is number 2.
That's number
Look
2.
at that cover, like Scott Williams just Wiles Portatio just blowing it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So gorgeous
Yeah, I
work
like the
from Wiles
hair.
Portatio. We're huge fans. We'll probably spend more time looking at all these guys' art and all these guys' comics in the future. I'm going to come back and look at, their works and other stuff, when he did X-Men and he did this really cool book called Stone.
Yep.
They
And
all
he did,
tried at one time or another to have their own studios and whatnot, like
yeah,
check out all this
he
stuff.
did the Legion of Night. Do you have Legion of Night?
I don't have that, but
Yeah.
I love everything Wiles does.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the poll is still going on, so he hasn't won completely, but it's 60%, 40% in his favor. So he's probably
It's
gonna.
actually closer than I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? I thought it
Yeah.
would be way
Yeah.
more one-sided.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Liefeld's great too. I mean, Rob Liefeld is great, but I don't, like I said, I don't know why people give him such a hard time myself. Like I love his
It
work.
it's fun to pile on stuff, and that one Captain America image is it's fun to tackle it and to give him a hard time and stuff about stuff like that.
I have
And
all that stuff, man. I like that. I like that whole comic, man. Like I loved Jim Lee's Fantastic Four, and I loved Liefeld's Captain America. I thought those were great, dude. I thought that was
yeah,
so cool. Just look at that stuff, dude. Like, wow. Look at that big, meaty figure. You know what I mean? And those dudes in the background, just like great sound effects. You know what I mean? Just gorgeous work from him. You know, like just man, he's.
I love
I
I
mean,
love the panel compositions.
oh yeah, him and Del Keown are both really good with those like secondary characters too, like drawing
Yeah,
bikers or drawing cops and that kind of thing. Like they never look generic. You know what I mean? Like Sylvester, they're really good at bar fights and that kind of stuff. Like
yeah, yeah.
so good. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. We're hitting our 35-minute mark, and super stoked for the few of you guys that came and hang out. Everybody watch this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we really appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with us. If you watch these videos to the very end, help us push it through the algorithm to other people that like and watch and dig on comic book stuff, and we really appreciate it. All of our fellow creators out there, give us a line, shoot us some lines while we're doing this, man. And we want to get you guys like we're going to do your stuff and have you guys leave comments while we're live and just go over everybody's work and let us know other comics that you guys would like us to cover. Creators, let us know comics, and if you have a comic you'd like us to cover, let us know. We could get a copy and get a copy to us, and we'll bring your comic on here and we'll look at your art and we'll go over all the stuff and get you guys out, and have access for other people to see your work.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Should we let people know who we're going to be doing the? Because I think we've settled on the format of Wednesday being our comic artist battle or comic artist comparison poll or whatever.
Yeah.
So should we reveal who we're going to talk about next Wednesday?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
All right, cool. I'm going to be going over David Mazzucchelli and his Daredevil work. I don't have any of his year one stuff, but I also do have some of his Rubber Blanket, which is just bizarre work. But I'm going to be going over David Mazzucchelli.
And I'm going to be busting out some Michael Turner. We're going to look at some of Michael Turner's Witchblade stuff. Now, Mazzucchelli is a crushing storyteller, but Michael Turner is a crushing drawer. So I have to see where everybody's passions lie. Is it in the story, or is it in the art, or is it both of them together?
Well, that's the thing. We have to we should really discuss some of the like if it is a great story, is it easier to be a great artist, or a
Ooh,
character? Like is
that's
it
a good question. That's a really
are
good
you
question.
automatically a better artist if you're drawing Batman?
Right? No, are you a better artist if you get to draw an entire book where Batman is in his costume instead of just walking around a
Right,
dinner
right,
party?
right. Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
some of the stuff we'll discuss in the next comics battle that we're
yeah,
going to have.
definitely. And along with all that, Alex and I are also comic book creators. And Alex is a creator of an entire universe of comics, and over there he's creating all his great stuff. Alex, tell him what you got.
I got random access. You can check this out at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. It's up to issue 28. And this coming month is a special issue because it's something that I've been working on for a while. And it's just a kind of a teaser of what's to come. But you can also, more importantly than the Patreon, well, not more importantly, but along with the Patreon, is alexanderturbin.com, which is where you can get the compilations of random access and all of the random accesses too. And you can get Forlorn and Mutandis and basically everything I've done in my comics career. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Alex is putting out some amazing stuff, you guys. Everybody needs to stop and check that out. And what was that first book you put up, dude? What was the throw that first one up?
Which
Back,
one?
back, 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 back,
Yeah.
back, 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 back. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Right there. Who did that cover?
That's me.
No, not that one. The next one.
The next one.
The one you just
That's
pulled
me.
off. No. Go back. The
Oh,
one you pulled off.
This is Jake Quirk.
Oh, I should have known, dude.
Yep.
Jake is
Yep.
so
Yep.
dope.
He is a fantastic.
Shouts out to
He's doing
Jake
the cover
Court.
for this. He's doing the cover for this month's issue, and he actually colored the interior pages too.
I remember you talking about that. So cool.
Yeah.
No, Jake does
Yeah.
such rad work. That's really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a comic book creator too, and I am the creator of Six Lords of Sound, super powered musicians in space. Jim Starlin, warlock, kind of freaking over the top space adventures, but all wrapped up in a nice heavy metal sort of package. Lots of superheroes, lots of action, nonstop battles. And this is going to sort of be like, I mean, this is a preliminary version. I'm having Jake Quick recolor the entire book, and we're going to re-release here shortly. But man, I think of this as like my meta barons, dude. Like I'm going to come out with these once or twice, every couple of years or whatever, and just have these epic space stuff. But on top of all the, stuff that Alex and I are working on, respectively on our own, and we're always working on stuff. Right now, Kay and I are also working on bringing you guys an awesome new freaking comic. And here's a quick page of that, just really cool looking stuff. This is Entropy Alliance. Awesome. It's going to be coming out soon. And you guys are definitely want to keep peeled for this because this is going to be one of the premier comics from underground stuff to get your hands on this year. So definitely. If you want to get your hands on our stuff and if you want to possibly land a copy of Six Lords of Sound, you need to hit me up on Instagram, on my Instagram, which is Awfully World, Joe Leonardo, Awfully World on Instagram, all one word, AWFULLYWORLD. You direct message me and I'll get back to you immediately.
Yeah, all right. I'll try to put it in the description, but sometimes
no worries, no worries, man. It's all fun and games. We're just here, hanging out, looking at comics, talking about being comic creators, talking about how much fun it is to draw and make comics, and we're just hanging out with our boys and all do the same thing.
Yeah,
super thankful for everybody that came on and watched, and everybody that's watching this video in the future. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching. And like he said, hit the notification bell and all that stuff. And more importantly, leave a comment. We love to talk about comics. And as you know, keep on creating.
Great. You guys have a great day.